What's going on, everyone? It's Bales, and welcome back to another AFL Fantasy Trade Talk ahead of round 23. It is the second to last round of the AFL Fantasy season. It's gone quick. I can't believe there's only 2 weeks left, and a lot of you, there'll be different sort of objectives. Maybe you're going for ranking, maybe you're going for potentially grand final in your league matchups, but it's more, for a lot of them, it's prelims, so hopefully you can get into your grand finals next week. So it's good luck to everyone out there that are in their leagues, and hopefully you guys can make the right trades to help you win your league matchup. So we'll get stuck into the most trade in out players as we have throughout the season. But also, just quick shout out as well to Tim, obviously the other half AFL Fantasy Fanatics, and Mitch from the Ball Boys, who are facing off in the AFL Fantasy Content Creators Cup, and the winner will donate a pretty large sum of money. I believe it's $3,000 for the winner. Will donate $3,000 to their favourite charity, and then $2,000 will be for the highest overall coach at the end of the season. So the first one will be this weekend, and then the overall one will be presented next weekend. So Tim's in both. So Tim could be donating $5,000 to his favourite charity, and then Mitch and Sanch have also got a chance. Mitch for overall and for head-to-head, and Sanch has got a chance for the overall one. So good luck to those three, especially Mitch and Tim, obviously facing off in the Content Creators Cup Grand Final this week. Hopefully next year I'll be a part of the grand final. That'll be what we're aiming for. But hey, yeah, it's been a tough year. Anyway, let's get stuck into the most trade in and out players. Before we do, as always, if you haven't given this video a like already, make sure you do if you've enjoyed these throughout the season. Also, subscribe to the channel. We're still 38 subscribers away from 1,300. We got just over a week to hit that goal. So if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do. Bottom right-hand corner. That'd be very much appreciated. So let's get stuck in. Clayton Oliver, most traded in player this week. 5.2k are jumping on him. I like the pick. There is a bit of a concern with Nash and McGuinness. Potentially one of them going him. I think he'll cop the Nash tag. I actually think Nash and Petrarca both could cop attention. It sort of makes sense to me that McGuinness will go to Petrarca and Nash will go to Oliver. There's also a chance that maybe McGuinness goes to a Salem, who's the guy that sets him up at the back, or even a Lever or someone like that, and then maybe Nash just goes head-to-head with like a Oliver, and then Petrarca runs free. But I just have a feeling that you shut down Petrarca and Oliver. But regardless, I still think Oliver can score well, even with getting attention. He's such a good player, and he hasn't gone below 100 this year, so he's just been fantastic. So averaging 190 from his 11 games. Tom Green next, nearly 3,000 jumping on him. He's got a tough run, but he's shown the last few weeks it doesn't matter with tough opposition. He can still score well regardless. So, again, he's a good pod. I like the pick. He's averaging 110 this year. Why not? Go for it. Essendon, not a bad matchup. Carlton in the final matchup is a little bit tougher, but I still think Tom Green will be fine. So, I like him as a target. James Cheetahs, probably just the pick for everyone as the downgrade there. Is he basement? Yeah, basement price. Was he the sub? Yeah, he got 46 last week. How much game time was that from, actually? Yes, 30%. That's pretty impressive. 46 from 30%. But yeah, he's probably just the one you bring in. So Nick Newman, 2.4k jumping on him. Yeah, he's been fantastic, hasn't he? Especially last 2 weeks, back-to-back 130 plus scores. I think he's gone, what is that, 5 of 6 hundreds? He's just been great, hasn't he? So I like the pick. A few people flagged potentially in the final round. GWS, he might be doing that hard lockdown role on Toby Green. He got a 116 against Giants early this year, though. So that sort of eases my concern a little bit. Even if he does play that lockdown role, he's still able to score. So I know we have seen some stinkers from him in the past when he's played that lockdown role, but I still think he's a good target, especially against Gold Coast this week, have been giving up points to defenders. So he'd be one of my favourite targets in defence. And I think he's going to be a pod for a lot of people as well. Not everyone's going to be able to afford him in 900k, and not many people jumped on him. So I like him. Rory Laird, well, everyone knows I love Rory Laird, but I think he's a great target as well this week. Nearly 2,000 are jumping on him. You're obviously targeting that matchup next week against West Coast Optus, but I even think against Sydney Adelaide, we've seen Laird has scored well against difficult opposition this year. Like if you have a look at some of his scores here, Carlton a difficulty got a 118, Geelong 107, Bulldogs 131, Brisbane 131, Collingwood again. Well, Collingwood sort of a little bit iffy, but 111 there as well. Giants restrictive 131, Port Adelaide 115, and Brisbane 126. So he seems to be scoring well in these tough games. So I like Lairdy as a trade-in option this week, and I dare say I'll be bringing him in this week back into my side. Zach Butters, I like him as well. Nearly 2,000 jumping on him. He's just if you don't have him in your forward line, I think he's just a good target. Freo and Richmond is final two. A couple of decent matchups there. Not too expensive at 8.44 either. I like the pick. Carl Warner, again, another downgrade that people are jumping on. Is he basement as well? 216. You're probably wanting to save as much cash as possible with only 2 weeks to go. So, again, if you could do the other trade, why not? But I'd prefer to get the 200 guy now. Luke Jackson, it's good to hear him chatting on the fantasy podcast with the traders early in the week. He's also a pretty good trade in as well, 1.3k jumping on him. He's got the Port Adelaide matchup, which I like. So if you don't have him, I still think it's not too late. 777k, and he's been very, very good last few weeks. Marcus Bonampelli, again, 1.2k jumping on him. If you haven't jumped on him at this point, try and get on now. West Coast this week, great matchup, because it's sort of been flagged as well, and it was a good discussion. I actually had the discussion on Hat Chat going through Bont and English and if they're must-haves. I think they are. I think that there's one hand where you could say, well, Bont is not going to, like, Eagles, he doesn't need to sort of go like hell for leather and get 40 touches and kick 4 goals and this, that, and the other. But the Brownlow's on the line. Not only the Brownlow's on the line, the Eagles nearly beat the Bombers at Marvel. And Western Bulls need to win this game to stay in the finals hunt, because they've got a chance of potentially missing, because if they don't beat Geelong in Geelong next week, then there's a good chance they could miss. But they need to win this game to make sure that they are still in with a shot at making finals. So I think Bond's going to come out and go huge. I think with the Brownlow on the line, Western Bulldogs season on the line, I think he's going to come out and have a big game. So if you can get to him, I think it's a great week to be bringing him in. Matt Crouch, I've been a bit colder on him than what a few other people have, but he's been very good last 3 weeks. Is that 3 tons in a row? Yeah, 105, 120, 103. That's very similar to what he used to do. He used to be low hundreds. He'd pop off for a 120 plus score every now and again, but he'd be just a consistent 100 plus play. A little bit like what Sarong's been this year. So low hundreds, pop off for a 120 every now and again. 759 again, if that's the best you can get to. I don't mind the pick. And it's the fact that he's got the West Coast matchup next week, and Sydney, I still think he'll go okay there. And the West Coast, he's got a pretty good history against them. I remember a few 140 plus scores he's done against them. So I like Matt Crouch if that's what you can get to. I'm still just a little bit hesitant just with I don't think he's got the ceiling as much, but don't mind it. So they're the most traded in. If there's any, so Zeeble, not a bad option. Pretty cheap still, 625. If you can get him as like a 23rd premium and be able to loop him, he's got the first game on the Saturday. That's a play there. George Hewitt is cheap. 604 again, if you want to do that 23rd premium play, 600k you should be able to get to. Well, hopefully. If you can't, then obviously that's fine. But 604k for a guy that could put 100 up. Gold Coast this week, he's also not a bad option. And I guess you want to go like a John Newcombe after a huge score. You could. He's still only averaging 94 with that big score. How many hundreds has he done this year? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's done 7 back-to-back tons. There's a few low ones in, like a 70, a 58, 72, 64, 67. There's a few low ones there, but hey, 2 weeks to go. Why not? If you want to go for a pod and sort of hit a 6, then why not? And there's a few good options here, like Jaden Short's also a good option against North Melbourne. So plenty of good options going around. Most traded out players here. We got Libba. Obviously has to go. 3,000 coaches. It sucks as well because he's been a really good pod, and a few coaches did jump on last week. And again, just that rotten luck of fantasy, unfortunately. Elijah Hewitt, Ryan Marich, people just cashing them in. Yep, it's a good time of the year to try and get that cash off your bench, unless you're doing a 23rd premium play. But all the other positions, try and get that cash out and get onto players that are going to contribute to on-field score. Callum Mills can go. Like, I know he got a 117, didn't have the role. Hopefully you guys jumped off because he went back to, what was that, a 69, which is his second lowest score in the last 6 weeks. So it's just not good, is it? 100 in his since he's been back from injury. Yeah, he's just got to go. Lockie Neal. I've been pretty off Lockie Neal for most of the year. There was obviously this patch here where he went really well. Obviously 3 120 scores in 5 weeks. Again, a couple of those obviously easy matchups, Hawthorn, Richmond and West Coast. The fact, though, that he's got Collingwood and St Kilda obviously got points, and the Collingwood, I don't see them tagging him. So I don't hate the idea of keeping him if you've got other issues. But hey, he's a tag risk. What if they just send someone to him out of... I've got hair on my nose. It's really doing my head in. I don't mind jumping off still. He's obviously not going to... I don't think he's going to be that 115 the last 2 weeks. But yeah, I don't hate the idea of holding. Jack Steele, again, it's very similar to Lockie Neal. It's hard at this time of the year to sort of go, you trade this guy, because Lockie Neal, Jack Steele, not Callum Mills, but some of these other guys here, like Brad Crouch, they can all pop off a 120 and you trade them. And knowing, as I say, Murphy's Law, they're gonna get a bit. Is it Murphy's Law? I hope I haven't butchered that, but they're just going to put a 120 on your head more than likely. You just got to wear it, unfortunately, when you're this luxury time of the year. That a lot of people sort of struggle with this. But yeah, it's tough because he was so good for this patch here, and then he's put up 2 stinkers in a row. He was back to taking some marks on the spread. His tackles were a little bit down, so if he has a better tackling game, that's 100. So yeah, Geelong this week. What did he play Geelong only this year? No, okay. I thought he already played Geelong, but no. It was last year when he did the collarbone against Geelong. But again, if he's your worst player, you can trade. I still don't mind holding though. Marcus Winhay can go as well. He's obviously made his cash. He's up to 630. We went down a couple of K this week, so he's made all the cash he needs to, and he can go if you can get him up to someone. Again, if he's on your bench, going him to a Zeeble or something like that on your bench and having a 22 premium is also a good play. Jack Macrae, Libba being out, there's a potential that he goes back to the inside mid-roll. Got West Coast this week, so I'd be tempted to hold, but I don't own him, so it's easy for me to say that. Owners are not going to be looking at that 45 and going, I can hold this guy. So, again, I would tick off trading him, especially if you don't have a Butters or any one of those forwards that you don't have. If you don't have a Goulden yet, don't have a Dunk. I know Dunkley's been poor, but I'd still be happy to bring in Dunkley. I think he'll be fine in the last 2 weeks. I could see him bouncing back with a 120 this week against Collingwood. So, I'd be happy to move off Macrae. Nankervis, what's he Nankervis up to actually? 368, not too bad, pretty good. Again, cashing him in, that he can go. Brad Crouch, I'd trade him over Jack Steele between the two. As Nathan said on the Hat Chat podcast, it's just his time on ground is just such a mystery. Like, it goes 80 for 3 weeks in a row. There's 2 low 70s in between that, 2 high 80s, mid 70s, under 70%. Like, it's just so over the place. It's just you can't rely on the consistency. And I know he's got those 2 big scores here. 3 goals contributed to that huge score there, and then the 126 he got that in 3 quarters. But he scored 68 in 5 quarters. So for me, 2 tough matchups. I'd be happy to trade. He's still at a decent enough price. Going him to a Laird is going to cost you, what's that, 908? What's Laird? 908. Yeah, 47k. Not much at all. Even to get to an Oliver, it's not much. Yeah, 991. You're paying, what, nearly 90k, 89k. So, yeah, I'd be happy to do that trade to get one of those guys, or a Bont if you know of Bont. Something like that, I'd be happy to trade. Campbell Chesser, time to cash him in and he can go. Same with Sam Banks. I think he's a decent price. Yeah, 356, he can go. Nick Dacos, as coach, that didn't get a chance to jump off him. Obviously, he's not playing for the rest of the year, so he can go. Doc, I wouldn't be trading him just yet. I'd be waiting to see if he's out or not. If he is out, he can go. He has to go at this point in the year. If you're out for a week, you have to go. But if he plays, I think he's still a hold. I still think Gold Coast is a good matchup and he can go. Well, Ben Keys obviously can go, and then some people trading out Dunkley. I wouldn't trade out Dunkley personally. He's the sort of player that will hit you with a 150. So yeah, I wouldn't trade him. And there's plenty of other guys here. All these guys can go. Cogs in a way can go. Essen, I think he'll be fine, but he can still go. Josh Kelly's there as well. So plenty of other options that people are looking at moving on. So again, I'm not going to give a top 5. It's just so hard to give a top 5. I just think that I've said before, Oliver, if you're not too afraid, that tag risk is a good option. Tom Green, tough run. Like Carlton are a little bit tougher. Essen aren't really that easy. But Tom Green, I still don't mind. Nick Newman's good target. Laird. Luke Jackson, Bont, English we didn't say here, but he's a great target. So all these guys, Jaden Short, good option. Tex next week will be a good option. If you want to go early this week, I don't mind bringing him in a week early. Sicily, I think, will go bang against Melbourne, so I wouldn't mind bringing him in if you didn't have him. I know he only got an 84 last week, but he's still fine. Yeah, plenty of good options to consider. So my trades this week, I'm looking at going sort of two ways. It's essentially locked in is already Brad Crouch to Rory Laird. That trade's done. It just comes down to, do I want to go Will Day to Nick Newman and get that ceiling? Because Will Day doesn't have that ceiling. So, and does Jimmy Jordan or someone like that go to him this week? I wouldn't be shocked if that's the case. Or do I just go a Jack Steele or another mid, maybe a Sarong or a Brayshaw, because they might have the tag coming against McGuinness in that next week, and bring in Clayton Oliver or someone like that. So that or Tom Green. They're the things I'm considering. At the moment, I think I'm leaning towards Day to Newman, but I also really like the idea of getting Clary in, because I haven't known him this year, and he's obviously a great player, so we want him in our team at some point. But that's it for Trade Talk. Let me know in the comments below what trades you guys are making this week. I was about to say how you went, but that's the review. But let me know what trades you guys are doing this week. If you've got any trade questions, let me know in the comments below. If you did enjoy the video, make sure you do leave a thumbs up for get this video to 50 likes. That'd be very much appreciated and be fantastic. If you haven't subscribed, as I said before, make sure you do. We're 38 away from 1,300. If we can hit that by the end of the season, that'd be absolutely fantastic as well. Turn notifications on so you miss when I go live or upload any other content. All my social media links are in the description below. Make sure you're going to follow me across all of those, especially the TikTok. There's a couple of videos there popping off with the footy grid. So if you want to keep up to date with the footy grids, they're probably better viewing on TikTok than on YouTube. But they're on YouTube as well. So make sure you go and smash the likes on there and go watch that if you want to. So perfect. Beautiful. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Next time I'll be going live. I'll be back in Perth, which is fantastic. Heading off tomorrow, and me and Tim will do our usual live Twitter space on the Friday. Probably won't be any more watch-alongs for regular season, but I will be back doing the watch-alongs for the finals. So stay tuned for those. Looking forward to them. But I'll catch you guys on Friday. Have a good couple of days. I'll chat to you guys then. I'm out. Cheers.